Welcome to the Her Voice Shines podcast, where we celebrate the power, brilliance, and resilience of women everywhere. I'm your host, Shanasia Washington. Join us as we share inspiring stories and insights from extraordinary women who have found their voice and are making a difference. Together, we'll create a ripple effect, illuminating the path to visibility and empowerment. Let's break barriers, shatter ceilings, and lift each other up. In each episode, we dive deep into the journeys of women who have turned their challenges into triumphs and their dreams into reality. Whether you're looking for motivation, guidance, or a community that understands your journey, you're in the right place. Stay tuned and remember, let your voice shine. Ooh, we are back like we never left. It's your fabulous host, Shanasia Washington, streaming from the beautiful city of Houston, Texas. Do y'all hear my voice? That's called rest. Today, I had a beautiful day of rest. Yeah, I'm already high energy because, I love my podcast. I love my guests, but today's a little extra because I laid around all day. I've had devotion, meditation, and had some crap. Listen, rest. It's good for the body, okay? But, we're not going to ramble. This is the place we bring the most inspiring stories. I am so happy to talk to this guest. I've already read information. I've been a little nosy digging around, but she going to see that. But the drill. She's going to come to the stage, tell us her name, where she's streaming from, and guess what? We get that story. Without any further waiting time, here's my very beautiful guest for today.
Good evening. How are you? Thank you for allowing me to be on your wonderful podcast to tell my story. I am Coach Carolyn J. Murphy, and I'm streaming from Memphis, Tennessee.
Now, wait a minute now, Memphis, Tennessee. Now, don't y'all got some storms out there, Miss Carolyn? I was just looking on the news now. Looking. Y'all got some crazy storms out there. They don't normally flood like that out there, does it?
No, it doesn't. And it ended, I think, this morning like about 6. But some places were really hit hard.
Oh, my goodness. I saw that. Now, out here in Houston, that's the norm for us. We always underwater. But when I saw that in Memphis, I said, that's a little different. And I said, I know I was going to have somebody today to be experiencing that, but I'm happy you're okay and well. But Miss Carolyn, just tell us a little bit about yourself. I have some questions for you. She's in a mental health space, and it's definitely something that our community needs to hear about. But I want to hear about that journey into the mental health space, and I have some other good stuff to ask you after this. So I'm going to let you get started.
Okay. Again, my name is Carolyn J. Murphy. I am a mental health advocate. I am a Tennessee certified peer, as well as a Christian life coach with the title of Mind Shift Coach. I was born during a time where children were seen and not heard. So I was already muzzled, didn't have a voice, wasn't allowed to express my emotions. And during my early childhood, I experienced SA. I'm not sure if I can actually say it, but I experienced SA in my early childhood and during my teenage years in high school. During my childhood, I also experienced a lot of grief and loss. I lost a total of 3 siblings. The first one died of brain cancer, and the last 2 perished in a house fire. I was born to teenage parents. My mom was 16, and so my grandmother raised me. I was introduced to a support group when I got to college. And years later, I was introduced to mental health through a class, what they call mental health first aid. And that was the journey to mental health.
Okay, sorry about that little technical difficulty, but let me tell you something, Miss Carolyn. That's a story, okay? The loss of 3 siblings, raised by grandmother, lots of early childhood trauma. And girl, you look good.
Praise the Lord.
You know what I'm saying? I'm real talk. And you sound real good, and you look real good. And that to me, is nothing small. Seen and Not Heard is so interesting. That was actually a part of the name of my first book, Seen and Not Heard: The Invisible Impact of Black Women. And that Seen and Not Heard is definitely something that is so heavy in our community, even today, even in 2025, with all the stuff that's going on. That's something that's still at the forefront. Let me say this because I want you to kind of go back a little bit to the childhood trauma. And can you remember the first time that you realized that your childhood wounds were starting to shape your adult life? Because for me, like when we look back and you say, oh, I was feeling I heard, or I think back into some of the things that maybe my grandmother and great grandmother told me, and then I'll kind of see how that manifested really 10 years later or 15 years later. And oh, girl, that was ugly. That was where the healing was starting to really come from. When did you kind of realize that, oh, dang, there's some stuff from back then that's still manifesting today?
When I discovered that I was pregnant with my oldest son, who is now 32, that's when it hit me. I found out I was having a boy. And at that point, the unresolved, unhealed trauma, I I hated men back then. And so when I discovered that I was having a boy, I was like, Lord, I don't want to have this child because I didn't want to inflict the pain that was inflicted on me. And then I knew the hatred in my heart, and I didn't want to put that on him. So I contemplated suicide. I actually decided that I was going to, not suicide, but abortion. And the night before I had the abortion, I woke up in the middle of the night and my TV was on HBO, and it was a documentary about the procedure of abortion. And that caused me to just weep all night. And I decided that I was not going to have the abortion. That's when, and I was 20 years old then, and that's when I realized that my past had crept into my future.
Mm. You know what? That was divine intervention. That's all it was. You know what I mean? It's times in my life when you feel that divine intervention, can't nobody tell you like nothing else. That's when you know about the relationship for yourself, the faith for yourself, and the walk for yourself. Because that right there is a perfect example of really divine intervention. And I'm happy that you were able to persevere through that. Because girl, when you back here, I tell people when I go off the screen, I'll be just having my own hallelujah time. I'll be having chills and everything because these people come in and tell these stories. And it was so important for me to have this space, Miss Carolyn, because we don't often get it, right? We don't often get it to talk about no judging. We just talking about what happened as really hopefully a mechanism to prompt healing, to prompt discussion, to prompt love. So when I did this, people were like, oh, you do so many podcasts. I was like, baby, this is therapy for me, which I don't understand because I'm doing what I'm called to do. And we know we see the little ticker screen at the bottom, or we see the fancy video, whatever they come at the front. But this is work for me. This is life's work for me. So when I have these conversations, I love on my guests and let them know I'm happy that you're here because you ain't have to talk. You could have been on anybody else's podcast tonight, but you said, no, I'm going to come rock with Sinead. She'll look crazy, but she good. I will go ahead on and, and do this with her. So let me tell you, Miss Carolyn, you are a woman of faith. Me too. I've had fanatical faith shift. 2024 for my entire adulthood was my most fanatical faith shift, and I'm writing about it. I'm literally writing about it as we speak. I'm going. That's going to be my next book because I have to talk about this shift that I never thought that would really occur because of so many different past things. Fear. Tell me about how faith has carried you through fear. I'm unwinding this, Miss Carolyn. You hear me? I got to ask you this because I know that you can talk about this, and I'm writing about it as we speak. So talk about that faith carrying through fear.
Well, faith is the cornerstone of me even going through the recovery journey. And on my recovery journey, like I said, I never did have a voice. I was muzzled from childhood and then later silenced with the SA Act. And I grew up with unresolved trauma, angry at the world, angry at God. I didn't have a close relationship with him early on, but once in 2018 was my pivotal time when the Holy Ghost came to me and said, give me your life because you've made a mess of it. And I couldn't deny it. And I said, okay, God. And I was at the point where I was close to my second time of going to a stroke because I worried so much. It was so much fear that I was dealing with. And I decided, okay, Lord, I'm going to learn to trust you because it had always been a longing and a pulling there. And so when I said yes, that was the start of my journey of mental health and my faith journey. And at that point, I began to learn who I am in him and how he sees me. And that's what I talk to women about now, to start your healing, your recovery journey, then to move to your healing journey. And I say that because this is for men, this is for women who are of the faith. God showed me that recovery is just managing the symptoms, but He wants us to be healed. And that's why I love the Lord with all of my heart. My faith is everything. I wouldn't be sitting here with you now without it.
But let me tell you something. They say that you have made something out of them, Miss Carolyn, and that's big facts, because of the reality of it is, and I tell people that's why this space is important, that some people are never graced to make nothing out their mess. They go to the grave that have lived in that mess a lifetime.
Yes.
And
And
you know it.
yes, and that was one of the things the Holy Ghost told me in 2018. He told me, he said, "What's the richest place on earth?" And of course, I tried to figure it out. And the Holy Ghost said, "No, it's the cemetery." And I'm like, "Why?" He said, "It's the cemetery because a lot of people died with fear, and which caused them to not walk in their purpose, not discover their purpose, and all the dreams and aspirations and goals died with them."
Yeah, and I say this, and you probably, we will go back to look at all my episodes. This is probably a recurring thing because I say this often, and I tell people the ultimate goal of this journey is that every day I'm going empty. Okay, that means that everything Shanae says she's gonna do today, it ain't gotta be no big masterful things. If I just sit, I'm gonna call an old friend and say, "Hey, girl, I love you." It shall be done today. And I want people to be really in a mindset of doing that. It's such a delicate time. Life is so delicate and short. People do wake up in the morning and you say you about 2, 3 things you're gonna do. I don't care. I'm gonna take a 30-minute walk around the block to clear my mind. Whatever that thing looks like, it shall be done. And those are steps to start living a life with intention and living a life that produces the results because you actually doing the work. Now, Miss Carolyn, I've been, when I get rested now, girl, I be feeling like I'm supposed to be out there preaching or something. But they say but listen, I have to do it because I have to preach to myself so much. It's because I have to keep my mind, my spirit and stuff clean to do this race and to be able to really not only serve myself, but serve others in my calling from a pure space. So that takes everyday work and sometimes it get heavy. And I've been talking a lot about cost here lately. So let me ask you about this because I can answer this question like, I'll be happy to answer it. It's like, what did stepping into visibility cost you? And what has it given you? Because, baby, I've been talking, I don't know, it's something over me today. It has been for about 10 days now about cost. I say, look, what does it cost? What does this cost me? But guess what, girl? What is it giving me?
And you said stepping into visibility.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Because you're visible now because you had to hide for a long time. And it costs stepping into visibility.
yes. Is the cost is telling my story. The cost is laying down. Now the cost is um, breaking up with fear. That was my cost, breaking up with fear and learning to take my words and use them. What I gained is, oh God, a sense of purpose. Um, and me opening up, telling my story. Yes, I'm always fighting fear, but I have to realize that this thing is bigger than me. I have to remember that God said that, basically said in the word that he saved us so we can go and save others. And if I can save a sister of the faith with my story, then I'm willing to tell it over and over and over.
Mm-hmm. And that's me, like that watering or whatever. Like it's just that one thing, and it could be that one shift, Miss Carolyn, where like somebody tells me, like, what, girl, I'm so happy you said that, because now I feel like liberated to say something else. And those are the things that now, like at this stage in life, like that's what success really is to me, right? Because it's not really the thing and how you do it, it's what it incites in others. So that is that, the kind of revelation of, okay, this stuff that I'm putting in the work is, number one, needed. And then number two, is being received. So you need to show up every day and do what it is that you're called to do. Now, when our past and stuff is heavy, and we've gone through a lot of different things and we feel ashamed and are we called to do? What would you tell a woman who maybe feels they're too broken to lead, too broken to love, too broken to lunch, too broken to be free? What would you tell her?
Well, definitely for a woman of God that has experienced childhood trauma specifically, but just brokenness, period, that turn to your faith, cultivate your faith, because without it, you won't be able to move forward. Cultivating your faith, and then start practicing self-care, start looking into mental health, start finding a therapist. Because if you've experienced any type of I call it the big T trauma, especially childhood trauma, you will not be able to move forward without a mental health professional, because they are licensed to give you tools to start to reconcile with your past. So I say Jesus plus therapy equals total and complete healing. So you're never too broken, never too used, or whatever words you want to use. You're never too broken to be used by God, but you got to go through your go through and allow God to heal you first.
Absolutely. And I love that you made that distinction. You said these people are licensed and you need, that mental health person to be there. So talk specifically about that silence that happens in the Black community and Black church around that mental health space, because, they may need you to say that, because there's still silences even now. Of course, there's more access to it than it was, I'm going to say 20 years ago, but there's still stigma and, oh, you're crazy, or you letting other people know your business. I'm just telling you the real life stuff that I hear around me as it relates to that. I want you to speak to that silencing and helping someone coming out to raise their hand and say, I need therapy.
We can no longer be silent. Our culture, what goes on in the house stays in the house. We can no longer afford to sweep things under the rug. We can no longer say, oh, just pray about it, because the word says faith without action is dead. So you have to do your part. We are a tripod, mind, body, and soul. And so when you get saved, yes, the spirit man is alive, but that soulish man is still hurt and wounded. We can no longer afford to just, again, sweep things under the rug, because the high rate of suicide is ridiculous in our community. And we can no longer, because it's passed down from our children. So a hurt parent that has been traumatized, they don't see the child that's in front of them. They are only going to lash out at that child. And that's why it's generational trauma that's constantly being passed down, because we're not taking care of ourselves as the adults or as the parents. So we can no longer afford to ignore it. I want to be able to put the ball in your court. And that's why I'm here telling my story.
I love that. In recent times, I started really maturing and being able to see many adults as just kind of who they are, not the title of mom, dad, aunt, uncle, but really being able to see them just as the person. Not saying, I'm going to disrespect them and treat them like a everyday peer, but that healthy maturity period where I can actually see, okay, look, that's actually a broken little boy, or that's somebody who has always lived in fear, has helped me navigate so many different places and just relationships, just with me having that maturity to see them as the person and not the title. And that's missing a lot in our community. I spoke about this too, Miss Carolyn, with another guest maybe about a couple of weeks ago, and we talked about safe places, right? And then sometimes even in places where people look just like you, smell like you've been there, it ain't safe. Okay, let me be the one to tell you, and I'm not ashamed to say it. And we talked a little bit about some of these safe places that we think are missing. What kind of safe places do you think are missing even in today's society? Because now I've had to shift. I left corporate and I started, on the entrepreneur journey, and I've had to go to a lot of different rooms to figure this out, network to try to see, what I needed to do to kind of take the step. And let me just tell you, there were more places that didn't feel safe that did. So from your perspective in safe spaces, what do you think we're missing, and what really defines safe space? Because it's a buzzword now.
It is a buzzword. For me, there is a service that was born out of what I wished I had. My safe space, I call the listening sessions. And it was born because if I just had somebody to listen to me without judgment and without interruptions, I think I would have started on my healing journey a lot sooner than I started. And just because one thing I heard that if a person is got to tell you it's a safe space, it may not be a safe space. You have to experience that for yourself. But for me, my quote unquote safe space is to just give a person their time to vent whatever is on their hearts without interruptions and without judgment. And then I will let them decide if that's the safe space for them.
You know what? It's definitely a feeling. Because what you're announcing it for, I should be able to come in here and know that it's safe in this type of thing. So when I think about that, I said, you have to be what you want to see in the world, right? And that was my mission, because I have been in places where they told me it was safe, and I'm like, oh, they lying through their teeth, Miss Carolyn. You can't, when you walk out here, you can't wait to go down there and tell people what happened, or you can't wait to use this information in a time where it's delicate and you can pull it out your bag to use it. You can't wait. You can't wait. So when I came into this space, I experienced, especially like in corporate, a lot of places that were not safe for me, and how I looked, my intellect, it just wasn't a good mix for me. So I remember leaving, and I had so many people that I was working with that when I was leaving, they were heartbroken that I was leaving. And they said, you made us feel like a community. You made us feel like a family. You didn't judge us. You wanted to know more about us. And it was like kind of in those moments where like, okay, well, these were the seeds we were planted. I had the fancy title over here, but I was still doing my life's mission, right? So I needed to be able to extract that, move forward, and really, really put it into the earth in a way that I can, I not necessarily control it, but that I can be the CEO of the visionary, and I can know where I want it to go. So that is just so important. And to those of you, let me just say this. I know it's a lot of places that are not safe, but I encourage each of you to find a place that is. It's life-changing. It's life-changing stuff that happens there when you can feel safe and you can work through a process. And I know, especially if you're a Black woman, you may not have always been afforded the opportunity. But if you are in a position to where you can get to a safe place, I really, truly encourage you to do that. And sometimes it's not a bunch of people. It may just be a person. It may not be a whole community. It may just be that one person, that one session. But I encourage you, with everything that's going on in the world, we all a situation or two from a mental health crisis. Don't let these people fool you. We all can be. So I don't play and teeter when it comes to the mental health space, because of everything that's going on currently, plus all the old stuff you ain't worked through. We all out here dangling. So if you let somebody make you feel like, oh, you the odd man out, or you crazy, or this or whatever, you can't afford to do that. You really cannot afford to do that in the space that we are living in.
Yes. Yes, I do agree. One thing that I used to say, talk to somebody, but not anybody. Because when you just grab people and start talking to them, it comes back and bites you in the butt. like you said, you have to find that safe space. That's the reason why I created the listening sessions, because there are some of us who are deemed the strong one of our circle. And when you're deemed the strong one of your family or friends, more than likely you have nobody who you can go and talk to and open up. Thereby you keep carrying everything. Then there's some that are the strong one, but they may have one or two people that they can go to talk to, but they're still too afraid to truly open up and tell everything. That's why the listening sessions were created, because like you said, a lot of us didn't have the luxury to talk to anybody. Some stuff is too weighted to even think about trying to uh, process it. Let's know and talk about it. But start looking for a therapist now while things are not so chaotic in your life, because it's a process. Finding the therapist that you gel with, it's a process. But I will say this, for us as African Americans, I know many of us, we probably prefer a Black therapist, male or female. But until you find that Black therapist that you want, some help is better than no help. So if you have to find a therapist that is of another race, and and you feel them out, you ask them questions, but some help is better than no help.
Absolutely. And you guys know I preface this all the time. I, had the pleasure of working with a global team, literally work with people all over the world for 7 years in my last role, literally a little piece of every continent. And let me just say this. She said something that you guys also too need to remove the blinders. Because sometimes, y'all know I love black. Okay? But sometimes your help may not be there, right? I can tell you, I have a friend that is Middle Eastern, okay? And one of my most easy to talk to people in my Rolodex. Look, the young people, they're saying, what's Rolodex? In the context. In the contact list, they be trying to, get a little survey. They don't know what we're talking about. But seriously, though, a friendship I would have never thought that would have manifested more similar to me than people in my own family. Like a lot, I kind of can be the quirky one, like a lot of different things. That person understands that. So remove the blinders. Sometimes it's hard to do that, but it is very important that you don't limit yourself from your healing, thinking that the person that has been sent to you to heal you got to look like you. And y'all know I love blickety black everything, but I also too, understand how he works, and that's my father. Okay, and I just want to make sure that you guys know that. Now, Ms. Carolyn, we did not get into the actual service. We talked about a little bit. Tell us a little bit specifically about the service that you offer, and then where people can connect with you or reach out to you if they want to.
Well, again, the service I have is the listening sessions, and it's PayHip Firm Foundations Co.com, and I am hosting my first mini workshop, and it's called Faith Over Fear Mini Workshop. And that is Saturday, April the 19th at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, and it is virtual. The event is on Eventbrite, and it's called, again, Faith Over Fear Mini Workshop. Just within the last couple of weeks, the Lord told me to turn it into a series. So again, the first one is Saturday the 19th, and then there's going to be one every month up until September. And then the master class is going to be in October. You can, I have a landing page, carolynjmurphy.com, which you can reach me. And then I'm on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, and TikTok.
I love it. And let me just say, Miss Carolyn, you got the voice that make me want to just come in and say, Miss Carolyn, here go all my problems, girl. She just got that voice. I say, now listen, some of y'all need these listening sessions. That's why I try to bring y'all the guests to come and really serve the community. She's giving you several different options. I know we had already talked about these sessions kind of in prior segments, but I wanted to give her the opportunity to say, hey, here's some things that are coming up so that you can actually connect. Because I mean, I know me and Miss Carolyn looking good up here and we talking real good, but baby, you accountable for your work. You accountable to get it done. And you know, we can come up here and we can give you as much as we can, but we cannot do the work for you. And I tell them that all the time. You can't do the work that I can, Miss Carolyn.
That's it. And that's what I say. You go through your go through. Because your healing, your recovery is your responsibility and your choice. And that is a beautiful word to me, choice. We have choices, even if you don't know you have a choice, even if you decide not to exercise your choice, but you have choice. So you have a choice to either stick and stay in the rut that you're in and go into 2026 the same way, or you can decide to break up with fear and know that your purpose is greater than your pain.
Oh, I absolutely love it. And I'm telling y'all, like y'all see, she didn't calm me down. Y'all seen I was and then by jumping off the wall, I was just so rested, but I've been able to really get some information here. And I do feel that Miss Carolyn is walking and calling in purpose. I went and read all of her information and kind of looked around. And I always consider it a great honor to see somebody who came from the ashes. I do. I mean, because I'll tell you one thing, it tells me more about who my father is when I can see. You see me? You see this? I can see more about who he is because he worked through her. And that's why I tell you guys, you need to be connected with the right sources of people who speak in life. Does that make sense, Miss Carolyn?
It makes a lot of sense.
We're going to do this right here. We're going to do rapid fire. I haven't done rapid fire in God knows how long. I got about 7 questions, and I'm just going to fire them off now, and Miss Carolyn just going to tell us. It's about 7 of them. We're going to do them real quick, and we'll close the show after this because we had a real good time. It never feel like 30 minutes. It just seems like our time is robbed when we're here because we just have such a good time. But let's kick off rapid fire. Give me faith in one word.
Stepping out.
Ooh. Legacy is.
Building on what God has built in me.
Love it. The last time you felt seen was?
Yesterday when I went to a meet and greet, and a lady that met me, heard about me months ago. She didn't reach out like she should have. But when she saw me, she was like, God told me to reach out to you. But I didn't. And now I see you. And it was like, we got to talk next week.
Oh, I love it. A scripture that keeps you anchored. It's a good one.
God has not given me the spirit of fear.
Oh, has not. Say it one more time, girl.
God has not given me the spirit of fear. And God has gone deeper with that.
Look, let's go to the next one. Fear tried to stop me from blank, but I did it anyway.
Fear tried to stop me from going live this past Friday. That was a great fear because of the fear of judgment, the fear of messing up, because I'm a recovering perfectionist. So that kept me from going live. But I was like, no more, because God kept giving me visions of where he's trying to take me. And I was like, I can't do this no more.
You're on a perfectionist and ain't got no work done. I told them that perfection paralysis is going to keep them stuck. Ain't got nothing done but sitting there trying to tinker. Okay, this is our last one. If your scars could talk, girl, come on now. What would they say? What are they going to say, Miss Carolyn? If them old scars could just get some words out, what would them scars say?
Resilience, strength, and courage.
Let me tell you, Miss Carolyn, it's been a fire session. You know it's been good. It's been a real good session, y'all. And let me tell you something. Don't you let that voice of fear tell you don't go live. I don't care if 2 people view it. You gonna look around. I don't care how many people view it. If I got a word to say, I know I'm supposed to say, I'm gonna say it. Because whoever's supposed to come, they're gonna come. I'm not trying to catch everybody anyway. I'm not aligned to everybody. Everybody is not my assignment. Everybody's not supposed to be taught by Shanadra. So if I gotta go ahead on and say something, I don't care who watches, who like it, or whatever, I'm gonna get up and do it. That is part of that going out empty. So Miss Carolyn, don't do that no more. That's all I'm saying. I'm just gonna say it plain. Don't do that no more. You go ahead on and do what you're supposed to do. But let me tell you, it's been an amazing show. I want to thank everybody out there in the Her Voice Shines podcast land for tuning in with me and this fabulous lady today from Memphis, Tennessee, who took a chance and came on this lady's podcast. And I'm so much better for it. I tell you guys, miraculous things happen when you let your voice shine. And until then, I'll be back with another amazing woman on the Her Voice Shines podcast.